Hello, and welcome to another Dark Side of Spirituality. So, today I am going to be talking about price fixing at an event. Well, at events, I should say. Because it does go on. Now, this isn't in regard to the event organizers, and I'm just coming from the standpoint of a reader, psychic reader. So, yeah, event organizers, don't panic unless you are aware this is going on. So, as an event organizer myself, um, the event organizer can recommend a price that the readers charge. This is normally based on how much the readers have paid for the stand, because some are extremely expensive, some like mine are cheaper, and also the kind of target audience and area that you're in. So with the new wave of events, I've recommended the readers charge anywhere between about £30 to £35. You know, we're in the smaller areas, the smaller community events, and from my experience, by charging less at those events, you can get more readings. Some of the bigger events, the ones that cost more, most of the readers charge about 40. I can completely understand this. I did spend most of 2024 specifically charging £40 at a lot of the events I was standing at. Reason being is that you can end up paying an awful lot of money. So just to give you an example, some of the bigger ones as a reader, if it's a weekend event, you can be spending in the region of £300 just to stand. That's before your petrol cost. That's before things like dog sitter, etc. And please bear in mind that although a lot of these events run kind of 10 till 4 or 10 till 5, you're normally having to travel approximately about an hour out. You've got to be up before that, and if like me you've got a dog, you've got to walk the dog beforehand. So all in all, you're looking at around about £300, if not more. So this is why some of the events the readers charge more. Now, as a reader myself, as you know, I try and keep my prices as competitive and as low as possible. This might actually damage me, to be honest with you, when it comes to things like my same days and stuff like that. Maybe I should be charging more. You know. Side note: do you think I don't charge enough? Does it look cheap? I don't know. You tell me. Nobody ever wants to talk to me or tell me or give me feedback. Can't understand why. Yeah, anyway, so that's why there can be varying prices within different events. Now, the general etiquette for readers is that if I'm at an event, for example, and it's a new event, I'm not sure what to charge. I'll have a wander around and I'll just kind of see what they're charging. Now, for me, the general etiquette is what I'd class as a £5 tolerance. So if all the readers are charging, say for example, the recommended reading price at an event was £35 and the majority of the readers are charging 40, I'm going to charge 35, not to try and undercut them, but because I want to give better value for money. Likewise, if there's an event whereby they're charging they're recommending £35, readers may go up to 40 because it's £5 tolerance. Once you kind of hit 40, generally speaking, we don't go over £10 tolerance difference because it's at that point you're looking a little bit like the clients are going to go, oh, I'm going to get to the cheaper ones. And I have been to events before where the event organizer has recommended a price and the readers have completely ignored it and are offering like 40-minute readings for 20 quid. And they've been busy all day, surprise, surprise. Yeah. Anyway, so I'll have a wander around. I'll just kind of clock what people are charging, and if they've not got the price up, I might say, what are you charging today? Just to kind of gauge what the general consensus is in regard to the event, the location, and stuff like that. However, that's fine because you're just asking a question. You're just asking how much you were charging. Once we start to get into a legal territory, is when readers tell other readers to increase their prices or ask them to increase their prices, because we're now going into the territory of price fixing. Now, it doesn't happen very often, but for awareness, especially if you're new on the circuit, that is illegal. Okay. Now, I had it recently. Well, I'll say recently. It was last year. I was at an event. The event organizer had on the email recommended £30 readings they had done for the event the weekend prior. Now, the event weekend prior, I'm not going to say where it is or who it was with, because they'd recommended £30, I was tired. I was still having trouble with my neighbours at the time. I went, I'm going to go at 30 because I'm so exhausted here. I don't know how good the reading's going to be, basically. Anyway, I went in at 30. I didn't even bother to look what everybody else was charging because I assumed that because the recommended reading price was 30, they'd be going in at 30 or 35. I went in at 30 and I maxed out. Now, the following weekend, the email went out again, and again it said £30. So I got there, I set up, went for a vape, came back in, and I was approached by two readers. Can you raise your price? No, I said. Last weekend I charged 30 and I maxed out. But we want to charge 40. Well, you charge 40 then. The recommended reading price says 30. I'm going to go at that. Again, last weekend, I maxed out. It was a mistake. The event organizer had made a mistake. Can't you just put it up? I said, look, with the economy being as it is, you have to move with the times. You can't continuously charge one price if the economy's struggling. And they got a snot on. Ultimately, to keep the peace, I put my price up by £5 to 35. I wasn't happy about it. And the sad fact is, in this situation, one of them is a lazy part-time elderly reader who's quite happy to do 4 or 5 and then walk around talking to people and eating cake. And the other one's a greedy bastard. Now, like I say, it doesn't go on very often. However, I've heard stories of a smaller event organizer whereby one of the readers was approaching other readers in the ladies' toilets. You need to put your prices up. It's not fair on the rest of us. Again, that's illegal. So, yeah, just be mindful that this stuff goes off. And a lot of the time, in my case, like I say, we're dealing with greed and laziness. And in the story that I heard, from this other person where it happened to them, it comes because this reader who I know more than well, more than I'd like to, not that I speak to them anymore, selfish. And isn't that good a reader, doesn't have that good a client base, so feels panicked to put the prices up to try and squeeze as much as they can out of the client. So please do be mindful. If you're a new reader, this behavior does go off, and I would advise, if it does happen, go straight to the event organizer. Sadly, I didn't. In my case, main reason is that one of those readers, or both of those readers, in fact, are very close with the event organizer. And I'd kind of already had suspicions that they were trying to get me off the events anyway. So, yeah. Go straight to the event organizer, mention it to them. It might not go down very well. A lot of these events are very cliquey. And if it's one of their busy mates, it ain't going to go anywhere. But yeah, just report it, because at least you've done your duty then. Okay. So, yeah, there you go. price fixing, it can go off in events. Ta-ta.